Okay, we are testing and there we go. How are we doing? Looks like we are live. Let me see if we've got audio going. Leave me a chat in the comments of this. You can either do it within the system itself, or you can click on the video and you can head over to YouTube where we are streaming this live, and you can let me know inside of the comments there. Give me a quick shout out, let me know that you can hear the audio and everything is okay. All right. Testing, testing, and let's get listening. Just giving a moment to get everything going here. Leave me a comment also. Let me know where you're calling in from. I'd love to know more about that. Okay, sounds like we've got great audio. Okay, we're gonna pause all that stuff so we don't have a bunch of that noise coming through. And then I think we need to get back to the business here of making an impact. Okay, are you ready? Great. Testing, and there we go. I love these things. Okay, how's my lighting? All right, here we are. We're in my studio, and let's hit the record button. I got my computer right off over here, so I'm gonna hit all of that and get this ball rolling. Okay, my name's Ryan Kingsline, and if you are new to me, I have been, I'm an artist, I'm a creative, I'm an entrepreneur, and over the last few years I've launched over 100 online courses and generated multiple 7 figures in revenue between my project, my partner projects, and I want to show you how I've done that. And that's what this is all leading up to. Now at the end of today, I'm going to talk about something called the influencer method. But the first topic that we really need to get in and start to understand today, the primary thing I want to do for you today is help you find the course that you were literally just meant to make. And if we can find that course that you were meant to make, what difference can that make in your life, right? Because see, part of this conversation is, you might be coming here if you say want to stop trading time for dollars. Maybe you're in jewelry or something. You just want to find a way that you're not constantly having to produce work, right? Because even owning your own business, you can still be in a position. This is my Susan telling me everything is good. Thanks, Susan. All right, and there we go. Let me just check a couple more things. Okay, we'll let that comment come up. Because you can be in your own business and be a slave to that business, right? I mean, I've certainly done that. But the key thing here is, what if you could find a way to productize your knowledge, right? Whether you're an employee or you run your own business and you're still trading time for dollars, how do you take all that experience that you have and pull all of that together into an online course or into an online brand with different online products? Because they don't have to be courses. It can also be coaching. I've done coaching. It could also be some sort of subscription site, or you can start to make physical products. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Okay, but the primary thing here is, how do we start getting some freedom over our life, our choices, and start to get and build our own nest egg? Now, if we can do that, that's the primary win for me today. To give you an example, show you and walk you through the process of finding the course that you were meant to do. Okay, and there's a couple of assumptions here, and this is really important. One of the assumptions is that you are good at something. You've dove deep into some area, something, and we're going to take a look at that and see what we can find. Now, it doesn't have to mean that you are good at some skill. A lot of times, and this really throws people, but a lot of times we don't see ourselves as good, but we are freaking, like, we have spent years studying something. So if you've spent that time and you've studied it and you have a passion in something that's very important to you, that's just as important. you know, if not more so in my opinion. But, you know, ultimately there is some aspect that you've dove deep into and you've really studied and you've really tried to understand how it goes. Okay, that's the number one thing. If we can find that, then we can move ourselves over into this next phase. So let's take a quick look at the framework. And this is the basic overview of what we're gonna cover today. This is this kind of general idea. Let me just check the chat real quick. Atlanta, all right, and Narcissus, thank you. Okay, so what we're really talking about today in terms of us, you and I, getting a clear sense of finding the course that we were meant to make is that we're gonna have to identify our skills, needs in the marketplace, trends and opportunities, and this is going to be you, your driver, your happiness, the things that really make a difference for you, because you're going to be doing this long term. And the primary mistake that people make is, in the beginning anyways, is how do I make money? And I'll tell you straight, making money is easy, making a difference is hard. Making a business where you're still around after 8 years, that's hard, because it's going to be more than money. You got to know where your mission is and where you're going. My mission is empowering creatives and artists with business strategies, with marketing strategies, to help them kind of free themselves from the grind and create resources that will allow them to do their passion projects, right? That's easily my mission in life. And you may not know your mission yet, and that doesn't matter. You know, that's all stuff that we're going to build towards. But the primary thing that we need to be thinking about is, if we're building for the long term, we got to be moving towards our mission. Money's not going to be enough to go through all the problems that you have to go through, right? It's just not going to be everything. So the first thing that we're going to do, and I kind of want you to do this with me if you're game. The first thing that we've got to do is we've got to sit down and we got to look at your skills and the market needs, okay? So we want to identify what your particular skills might be, and you may not know right now, so don't worry, I'm going to save that. There's a little trick that we have at the end to help you kind of figure out what you really should focus on. But right now, I'm just going to walk you through an example. Let's imagine that your skill is the piano, all right? And you're sitting here and you're looking at this and you say, okay, well, what are the market needs? You know, what can I do with the piano? I can go on tour. I can do some recordings. I can do composing. I can do mentoring, right? These are the different market needs. But, excuse me, but this is too generic, okay? Way too generic of topics, because you are specialized in this. Let's just assume that we're going to come in here and we're going to talk this mentoring component, right, for the rest of this conversation. Since you are attuned to this, what are the real market needs? What are the ideas that are out there in this industry that are floating about and seem kind of relevant and important? Okay, so if we're talking about piano, just off the top, you know, because I know plenty, I've got several of my friends are musicians. And in the music world, there's the people who are classically trained and then the people who are other trained. There's a lot, there's like world music programs and whatnot, but there's classical and then there's other. If you're classical, then you have this particular way that you study. You play music by sight. You can set something down in front and you could, without ever seeing it before, you literally play it from sight. All right, that's one particular way. The other one is you play it by ear. You have to hear it first, you think it through, and then you apply it, right? Those are two different ways or two different ideas and conceptual frameworks within teaching music. So I look at those two ideas and I think, okay, those are possible things for me to teach. And then there's this 5-note theory, right? Like all pop music is based on 5 notes, and if you have 5 notes, you can make your own song. The idea here is that since you are the expert, you know, and you need to look through all the thoughts that are out there, all the ideas, all the concepts, and start to write those down and start to see, like, where do your skills, do you match any of those? Okay, so let's say the 5-note theory is something that's kind of right up your alley, and it hits up with the improv and some of the stuff that you've worked on before. Okay, so Now we come in and we go, okay, let's look at the screen. So we do 5-note theory. Now, here's the trends and the opportunities, right? And this is the way I like to think of trends and opportunities, is that these are just the forward wave on the shore. Whatever's happening in the industry, some people take this into fads, some people take this into what they call newsjacking. So it's just things that are at the forefront of people's consciousness on this conversation. So online teaching is, of course, one of those things that's really just growing an enormous amount and has a lot more room to grow out there, right? Another one is affordable software like GarageBand, FL Studio. And another one is just all of the community software that's out there. Okay, so I might know the piano and I might be really interested in this 5-note theory. And, you know, there's a lot of different tools that are out there that are making this a little bit more affordable, a little bit simpler. Maybe there's some kind of keyboard simulation tool that'll let you communicate with your people easier. And then, you know, could be, let's say, one of the community tools that could be really important out here is SoundCloud. And so your whole program could be built around some facet of using SoundCloud to develop the community and really grow things, right? And, you know, this nexus of things comes together to start to figure out, oh, there's a course in here. There could be a 5-note theory course that goes through FL Studio or GarageBand and talks about clips and backgrounds and beats and, you know, all these different elements to start to build the course. But we don't have everything set yet, because the next part of this is, if we come down from the top, the next part of this is, what is your happy, right? What makes you happy? What do you enjoy? So if we take a look over here, what I mean by you're happy is, what do you enjoy? So for example, some people really love to just teach one-on-one. Okay, so you can do that easily with Skype, and you can do that with mentorship. Some people do not love one-on-one, right? That's not the way that they like to teach. So they might be coming in here, they'll go, I don't want to do that. You know, and I don't really like to talk to camera. I like to talk to groups of people, and I like to really connect with a whole bunch of people at once, and that feeds me energy. Because as somebody who's going out there and connecting with people, and you're building these courses, you're building these online products, you're turning your expertise into products, right? You got to also think about this packaging, because you may be someone who just wants to pre-record all of this, put it out there, and just never really interact with the students except for through comments. That might be your happy, but your happy, like my happy, is impact, right? I've been doing this for 8 years, and through the entire process, one of the primary things for me has been impact. Not, hey, I got 1,000 students in my Udemy class. No, that's not relevant to me. I got 1,000 students that I talked to every single week, and I've made a difference in their life. That's what I've done. That's what's empowering to me and makes me happy and makes me fulfilled at the end of the day. And that's what I've built my business around. So that's what we're kind of talking about here. There's also this notion that maybe you like to do things live, because a lot of my teachers, a lot of people that come to me to learn how to package themselves and grow their brand, we talk about this, you know, whether we do live or whether we do recorded. Those are kind of two of the different ways that people can kind of get content. Some people like to pre-record in case they make mistakes. They can kind of fix things up. And some people like to just do live, like right here today. I'm doing this totally live. I've prepared a little bit of a presentation here, but I'm doing it live because that gives me energy, and that's part of my happy, right? I also do them recorded, but when they're recorded, I don't have the same kind of drama. Oh no, I forgot what I was gonna say. So I get in here and I like to do live where I'm talking directly to you and connecting and seeing comments and all that different stuff to help you make a difference in your life. Everybody's going to be different, right? And there's going to be different stages of our development where we're going to prefer different ways of approaching things as well. But what we want to do is just get a sense and just be honest with ourselves. Like, do we just want to record courses, play it safe, put them out there, and just pump traffic to it and starts to really build our brand? Or do we want to find a way to talk to people live and really connect with them there, build our brand there? Or do we want to build groups or communities, or what is it that is going to really make us happy? Whatever it is, once we've got that, then we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 directions, and we got to look to see what's in the center, where this all mixes. So let's say, take for example, we've got piano. I've got a strong preference for 5-note theory. I really like talking to groups, and I kind of love doing it live. And, you know, these new affordable tools as well as SoundCloud have really opened things up for me. So right in here, there's going to be some sort of product, some sort of course that represents the nexus of all of this. So maybe, and we'll give this a second to sort itself up. Every time I come in and out of OneNote, it flips out. There you go. Maybe what we could be building is our Rockstar Boot Camp, right? And we're going to have this 6-week live online program that's designed to take you from performer to musical rock god. And I'm going to talk about that in here in just a second, this idea, but of what the journey line is that you want to take students on. But I know I like to talk to groups, and I know I like to focus on impact, and I know the piano. No, I don't know it. And I love this 5-note theory. And then down here we've got SoundCloud. We've got all these different tools that are out there. They're all coming together. And somewhere in there, I know, okay, well, I really like a boot camp idea, makes sense. I really like that. And maybe what I can do where I can make a difference is I can take people that are performing, that they play the piano, but I know that in their heart, because in my heart, I wanted to be a rock god, right? I had like Poison and Rat and everything on the walls. I was in a band for like a semester. I was the lead singer. And so maybe this is like my dream, is to just help people become that musical rock god. And they have to learn the piano, because it's going to take them outside of the guitar and voice and everything else. And it's going to give them this musical control that they wouldn't have any other way. So this is really the Rockstar Boot Camp, using the piano as this tool, which is going to take somebody who's just a performer, they're just playing on the guitar, to somebody who understands musical structure and is able to build out a song, a riff, something that really connects and makes a difference out there in the industry, right? And really connects with people. Do you get how what we're trying to do is find these 4, this is my 4-circle framework. It's really designed to help us get to the bottom of this. Okay, and this is what I'm going to want you to do, but there's a couple of things to keep in mind before we kind of get there, because really what I'm looking for when I talk about these things is a beginning and an end. So who is the student at the beginning of your class, and who will they be at the end of the class? So maybe here they're a performer, and you want to really spend time and look up the language of somebody. Maybe you're a chef, and somebody might be an amateur, somebody might be a home chef, right? You can find out the names, and who are they going to be afterwards? They might be a rock god. They might be a professional chef, although, anytime you say that with these kinds of things, you might be, primed for TV's Next Chef. You might be a French expert, right? You might just be a chef de la casa, right? Whatever it is, you want to start to think about defining people's beginning and defining their end. This is part of how you go from being an expert that's trading time for dollars to being a thought leader and an influencer out there. You start to define the map, right? The map that says you've accomplished something. This is our privilege as teachers and as people who are going out there as thought leaders, making a difference out there. This is our privilege that we are able to get out there and we are able to map out this territory and bring this to other people and say, you're here. Oh, you're here because of X, Y, and Z. I know you're here, and I know I can get you here because I'm going to go through and I'm going to teach you, these 5 steps that are going to get you from performer to rock God, right? Whatever those 5 steps are, those are the steps that you'll insert, you'll figure that out. And I'm going to walk you through my own example of that, I think, right here at the end so you can get a sense of it, because I've spent a lot of time building courses over the years. A lot of time, all right? But let's come back here, and now I'm going to walk you through, if you don't mind, I'm going to walk you through not just a hypothetical example, but I'm going to walk you through my literal example. What I had to do when I first launched and tried to figure out how I was going to build my business and what I was going to do. I had a ton of skills, a lot of skills that in my industry my people don't really know about, but I was rigging, I was scripting, I knew animation and Maya, I knew a whole bunch of different things. I was working as a CG generalist, and but I was also traditionally trained, and I had this long history as an artist and a poet. Go figure. Right? But I had this huge history as an artist I'd been doing since I was 20, training myself in the academic tradition, hoping to build the skills so that when I went to CG, I could end up doing something exactly like I ended up doing. But I had this broad range, okay, right? And maybe you're like that. Maybe you got a million different things that you do right now, and you're sitting there trying to figure out, like, what do I do? Okay, I'm going to walk you through my example, and then I'm going to give you the tools to figure out your example and what you can do as well. So at the end of this webinar, you're going to have a very clear sense of the tools that you can use to start to just dive in and figure out this course that's going to make a difference for you. Okay? The 4-circle framework is kind of core to this, but now, we're going to get into a couple of other things, because the 4-circle framework assumes you know the skill you want to focus on. What if I don't know? All right, so in my case, I had sculpting, ZBrush, Maya, rigging, scripting. There was a lot more in there, actually. I was an English teacher as well. I was an English teacher in the Czech Republic for a while. And, this was my skills. And I'm looking at the market. English academies, not something I really wanted to keep doing. And I'm looking over here at the market, and I'm looking and saying, okay, so there's toy sculptors and jewelry designers, game artists, VFX, right? And I wasn't thinking so general, like, there's, I don't know, there's the CG industry, there's the movie industry, there's the game industry. I was trying to get more specific like this, which is the real things happening in the industry, the real things that me as an expert. So game artist, it wasn't even game artist, I was thinking character artist. I was thinking environment artist, right? VFX artist, so I was studying Houdini and different things like that to really make a difference. But I looked at the very specific things that were needed out there. The things that were really making a difference, and I got lucky. I got super lucky, okay? And what ended up happening was I scored a job at this company, because sculpting was really one of my primary passions. This company, a friend of mine, Meets Meyer, had told me that this company makes the sculpting software that I love. They had a job opening, and they were looking for somebody to go through and evangelize it, right? So I started to get myself really into this area, and then when I left that company, I went and worked for somebody else that only lasted a little while. It wasn't the most pleasant experience. And I left that company, and I had that decision. Now, I've really spent my life building up sculpting, really building up my brand here. So what do I do? How do I make that work? Okay. ultimately, I decided that this was going to be the biggest thing, and I started ZBrush Workshops, which is still around today. And ZBrush Workshops is where I was going to work with ZBrush, and I was going to work with toy sculptors, jewelry, game artists, VFX, and CG generalists. And then, you know, when I first started, it was online teaching was really brand new to this whole industry, and that was like 10 years ago almost. And now today, the thing that's really been out there, because I'm always looking out in the industry for things that are changing and happening. And so today, one of the things that's happening is career boot camps, right? And in my case, what I do is I look over into say startup culture. I look at coding and UI, UX. I look, how are they training there? Because those are the areas where there's the most demand, right? There's going to be like 1 million unmet coding jobs by 2020. So if you want a job, you become a coder. That's the surefire, most guaranteed way. So I look at this and I'm like, these guys are at the edge, right? Because they have to be. And so I start to pull from them the strategies that I use to build my business around. I'm not looking at what other people in my business are doing, because they're just doing what I did. I'm looking for people outside my industry, because that's how you innovate. That's really a key concept here, because remember, this bottom circle is innovation. And you might be sitting here thinking, well, I don't know how to innovate, Ryan. Simple. What are other people doing out there in other industries, or, and this is really important, or in other parts of the world, right? Because somebody could be doing something in the UK, a particular way that just, you know, just came from the UK culture, and you're looking at that and you're thinking, oh, that's quite powerful, right? Maybe I can segue that through over here and I can pull that over into my industry. For example, right now I'm working with one of my artists. I'm looking to get him out on his own, building his own academy. And Tomas is just a brilliant, brilliant sculptor. And we're looking at this and seeing that in the jewelry area, there is a massive need for people to learn the software tools, but they come with baggage. They don't necessarily have like an art background, quote unquote art background. They might be more in the engineering side of things from the software that they've been working with. So you have to build an academy in a certain way and build it with a certain kind of tool set. So we're looking at not just classes, but how do you pull boot camps and immersives to really help people change and help them understand what they can do. You know, it's very important that you add some element of innovation to this conversation. I think it was Peter Drucker that said that all business is marketing and innovation, and that's it. You innovate, and then you tell people you've innovated, and you just have a way of talking about that innovation. The beautiful thing about you and I here establishing our online brand is that we're the innovation. We just got to learn the marketing. We got to learn the ways to talk about it, frame it, and connect with people and influence them outside of just our own innovation and build our business around that. And if you can do that, sky's the limit. All right, you can do as you wish. And that's my goal for you, because that's what I've been able to achieve in my life. So when we come back and we look at this, you know, I started ZBrush Workshops, and, you know, I was serving this industry, but over time, you know, a couple of things happened, right? Because I wanted to make an impact, and I wanted to get people jobs. So the original online teaching that I was doing, you know, that didn't work for me anymore, because I was just teaching people, and, you know, and that was that. I wasn't having the impact that I wanted, because 50% of people don't show up for the live class, and, you know, easily 50% don't finish the class, probably more than that. It's more like, if I remember correctly, last time we checked, it's more like 60 to 70% don't actually finish classes, because, you know, people make this fundamental mistake. They think of acquisition as the same as achievement, and it's not, right? But we get the dopamine hit when we acquire something, and we think we're done. That's why, you know, really hardcore, serious learning involves some aspect of kind of pulling yourself away from things, because you're trying to pull yourself away from getting addicted to that dopamine hit. Because real achievement doesn't give you a dopamine hit. The fulfillment is totally different than, you know, this like momentary satisfaction. So a lot of people go out and acquire a class and not do the work to achieve the skills. That's a big problem, right? And that was a big problem for me. So I was like, I'm not happy. I'm not doing it. So I ended up coming through, and ZBrush actually became irrelevant to me. It became part of it. And in fact, almost all of this became irrelevant. And I ended up focusing on game artists, and making an impact, getting them jobs became very important. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to create career boot camps. So out of here, I created game art boot camps. Boot camps. And here we have 4-month intensive programs. They cost $29.97, and that's just going to go up in price as we kind of keep doing this. These are very long-term projects for me. And these are places where I can make an impact in somebody's life. That is crazy super important to me. And it's my happy space. And I could do that forever, right? Before, I got tired of constantly teaching this one software program, great program, you know, but that was my focus. Now, my happy spot is going in and helping people get jobs. So when I get those emails that are like, I'm on my second interview, you know, brings total peace to me. And we got to find out what brings total peace to you and makes you happy. What would you be happy having achieved, even if you had to go bankrupt to do it, right? Even if you had to lose all your money, what would you be happy? Because if you find that thing, then all you got to do is do it again. And that's going to be the key to get you out of any trouble that you're in. Now, for example, today in my world, I'm moving also into, taking this whole idea of making an impact in creatives' lives. Now I'm looking at this one, empowering artists with business strategies, business and marketing strategies, right? And over the last few days, I've launched a 7-module webinar. What was it called? The Webinar Launch Formula. I've been teaching so much, my brain's a little filled. So the Webinar Launch Formula, I taught that, I built that, I gave the people that were in there free access to that. If you're watching this, then you may have already seen some aspects of that. The Webinar Launch Formula is a business strategy that I've used to totally change my life, right? And so now we're looking at not just career boot camps, right? But I'm looking at also over here creating business courses. Things that I feel really help my artists and my creatives and my people. That's the key component here. My people really makes a difference in my people's lives because I found my people. You know, I know who I want to serve, and I'm looking at the ways in which I can serve them that make me happy. Okay? All right, let's take a quick look. So all of that stuff moves us down into here. This is actually at the end of the day what I ended up doing was game arts and business boot camps. And you and I today, we're going to look at this one that takes you from an expert to an influencer in your industry. And this is called the influencer method. In fact, I'm kind of teaching you that right now as we speak, but we'll talk about all that later. You know, the big decision that we have, or the big problem that we get into as we're kind of developing a course is, what do I teach? Right? So if you're here and you saw all that and you say, great, Ryan, that's fantastic. What do I teach? Because I got so many things. I'm going to give you a couple of tools to figure this out, and also a sense of, you know, when you should pick one over the other. So the primary thing I want you to do, and you can do this on a piece of paper as well, but the primary thing I want you to do is fill this, is just, let's take a quick look here, is just list all of the skills that you have inside your, in your capacity, you know, just what are the different things that you yourself can do. So you might have some skill like piano, teaching, accounting, right? You know, if we take a look at mine, there's this program ZBrush, which I was pretty decent at. And then there is Game Art Pipelines, which I used to help build in my time when I was working at ZBrush. I used to go in and actually build pipelines and define things for artists, and I do that for the VFX pipelines as well. I did that on Pirates of the Caribbean. I think the first one, or the one with the Kraken, I forget which one it is. I also understand marketing. I also understand email writing. And I'm just writing down things, you know, launching, you know, just whatever it is. We're not trying to be too picky here. But this is just an exercise to get our heads moving, to see what we can kind of come up with in this whole conversation. So the next step to this is you need to chart all of these on a simple graph where the vertical graph is the value you can offer people, and then the horizontal is the number of people that you can impact. So let's take my ZBrush. ZBrush is not a ton of people I can influence, but I can make a pretty big impact in their life. Okay, Game Art Pipeline is something where I can actually influence more people and make an even bigger difference in their life, because I can, there we go. I just lost my brain. Because I can teach them not just one software, but I can teach them how to make a career, right? That's going to be one of the key components that makes a difference. And in fact, let's make that a little lower so I got some room to grow. VFX pipelines, it's a little bit less, not something that I'm terribly focused on, so that's a little bit different. Okay, now in marketing right now, where can I make a difference in somebody's lives? I can easily do more people, right? I can easily make a difference in more people's lives. But how much value can I provide? Okay, and this is all going to be arbitrary, but let's say I can provide about the same amount as I can in the bootcamp. I can teach people how to make money, change their careers, and really help them get to the next level in their lives. Okay, email writing. Not a ton of people write emails, so it might be somewhere right around here, but I could really do a lot because I'm a creative writer. I love all of that. And then in launching, I can actually come up here and I can teach people how to make a big difference in their life. And this was a big realization for me a while ago, because I did this exact same exercise you're looking at right here, because I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I want to do something else. And I wrote all my tasks down here, and then I plotted them out. And I realized, once I saw this, I was like, I'm scared to teach business. I get it. But if I'm able to go out there and do that, you know, I can change people's lives. I mean, I'm a simple artist. You know, I like to sculpt in clay. I get my hands dirty in clay, right? That's my passion. That's what I love. But somehow I've managed to parlay that into a multi-7-figure business that, you know, provides a very different life for me and is very freedom focused. I can go out the door, talk to my kids if I want to. I can do, you know, I can do so much. I take my kids to school. I pick my kids up. Everything's on my schedule in the way in which I build my life. I take 3 days off if I need it. We go do, you know, our work, we have our fun, you know, and I can really just live life on my terms. Wouldn't that be cool if I could teach you how to do that? You're sitting here, a creative, an artist, and you're thinking, okay, I want to learn how to do X. I want to learn how to be better. I want to learn how to, you know, all of this stuff, right? But here we are. I can show you a pathway that's going to bring in the exact same amount of money you make trading time for dollars and more. And you write the schedule, you do what you want to do, and you basically build your own enterprise, not somebody else's. Would that have more impact in your life than if I taught you some software program? It's a stretch. I got to reach, I got to get out of my comfort zone. But this is one of the core things, because back when I was teaching software, I was an expert, and experts exist within their comfort zone. Influencers, which is who I want you to become, influencers push outside of their comfort zone, right? Think of this guy, Neil Patel. So a couple of days ago, if you Google Neil Patel, or you Google digital marketing, you got him as 1 and 2. Neil Patel was an SEO guy, right? Really good at SEO. And then he built this massive brand around all this other stuff. Influencer marketing, which is the social media stuff. Email marketing, landing pages that work, you know, all these different things. He built this massive marketing empire from his one little deep dive into SEO. He pushed out of his comfort zone, out into other things. The concept here that's kind of really important, and I'll ad-lib this as a little bit, but your skill, this is where you dove deep, but you have this broad repertoire of other things that you understand, right? You deep dived, you dove deep here. But what happens is once people get down here, they get into this kind of like expert mindset and they're like, this is my thing. This is the one thing I have value. And I get it because, you know, I got into the same thing. I was like, this is the one place I can add value. I can add value. I can add value. And it took me getting punched in the face, you know, to really get a sense that that's not true, right? I'll tell you that story later. But it took me pushing my physical boundaries and everything about my life to really discover that, you know, I had made a lot of assumptions about things that just weren't accurate. And we can do better than that. We can get out there and push ourselves to achieve something and show people what they can do in their lives. You and I can do this. We can build this business and help people grow and become their best selves by you and I learning how to push past our comfort zone and achieve our best self, because we dove deep, but in the process of diving deep, there's millions of things that we have awareness of, some element of skill in. And if you can grow your brand to where you can be influential in all of that, then you are adding more value to your community and you're making more of a difference in the people's lives that matter to you. Okay, so you want to chart these things out, but here's the question, because, you know, this is the question I had. I was like, okay, do I go deep or do I go massive, right? Do I teach marketing because, you know, I can reach more people, or do I teach things like ZBrush and Game Arts and things like that? Okay, which one do I teach? So once you've identified where your skills are on this spectrum from here, the number of people, there are different stages of development for us creators that help determine when you should be doing one versus the other. And I'm going to explain those here to you in just a moment. But in order for you to get to that stage, you need to really identify, right? So here's my area of expertise. Here's my area of expertise in marketing and setting up your own business. These are areas not of expertise because there's so much involved in there. But these are areas where I can make a bigger impact in people's lives. So do I go deep and stay in this corner, or do I go massive and scale and go into this corner? Okay. The question is, it all comes down to this. It all comes down to what stage of development you are in. And I have 4 stages of these development, and you'll have to excuse me, it's all kind of medieval language, but it kind of fit. And I didn't know how else to phrase it. But basically there's, and we'll get back to the image here in a second, there's pages, there's knights and maidens, there's prince and princesses, and there's kings and queens. My wife had this statement she said to me once very early in our relationship. She said, you're only as responsible as the crown you wear. It was a Hindu kind of saying. You're only as responsible as the crown you wear, right? So a prince isn't as responsible as a king because he doesn't have the same responsibilities. He doesn't have the same pressures, right? The pressures around us are what form who we are. Now, we have to make the choice today. We're not crowned it. We make the choice ourselves to bring these responsibilities upon ourselves. And that's part of what figures this out for us, right? So if you are just YouTubing things and you're just up for challenges, you're not invested in anything, then you go for depth. You just go for, you know, where you can make some impact in some people's lives. It's not that big of a deal. but pages all want to be knights. So you might be posting tips and tricks and things like that, but really you want to get over here and you want to fight for something. Okay, and this is, again, this is where you go even deeper in this conversation, because I'd say in this, you might say pages are people who they want to do something, but they can't quite make a difference, right? So there, this is where a page might be, and then this is where a knight. What was that I drew? This is when you are fighting for something, you've achieved this, and now you are able to make a significant impact. So you stay in depth here. You hone your skills. The thing about this knight and maiden stage is that you're really fighting for the challenge of the fighting. You haven't really found your mission yet. You're almost for hire to an extent, you know, and that's okay. When I think back on my life and my journey, I think back to my time teaching software as the time where I was just out there fighting for that fight. Launch a course, make a difference in those people's lives, and then go and launch another course. So I would go on one conquest and then I'd go on another conquest, but at no point did I have anything that really unified them. I'd go over into this area, I'd go into that area, I'd go into this area, and that's fine, right? I was a knight. I was out there looking to fight. That was it. And my fight was business. And I won and lost and won and lost, right? But that was the purpose. The purpose was to get out there and really choose. So if you're thinking about yourself, right, the primary question we have here is do you have a mission? Because that's what distinguishes these stages. Because when we start to get into the prince, right, a knight can go from one army to another army to another army. But a prince or a princess, they belong to an empire. They might marry off to another empire, but whatever empire they're in, it's not theirs yet. So you're starting to find your mission, but you're really focused on building within the world that you don't own yet. And this is when you start to, you stay with your depth, you stay with the skills that are important, but you start to experiment off with some things that require more scale and really help more and more people, okay? So, you know, you can see this even with today's princes, the Prince Harry, these guys, they're out there and, you know, they don't have their empire, they don't have their country that they're leading yet, but they're out there building within that world. So they're working with this charity, they're working with this entity, right? And I think he's got, Prince Harry's got the Spartacus race. I can't remember exactly, but he's got that race for people who have different handicaps and disabilities to go out there and compete, all right? This is a thing that he's building within his world, and he's extending this to scale. And you're doing the same thing when you start to take this mission upon yourself. You don't quite have your mission locked, but you're like, I want to help creatives. I want to really help people build businesses. I want, you know, and you're starting to grow it that way. Then there's the final stage when you get in and you start to focus on you're a king, you're a queen, and you're going for massive scale. This is when you know your mission and you're focused on building for the long term. You know, you're building the tools that are going to establish and keep your kingdom going for the next millennia, so to speak, right? Unless you watch Game of Thrones, and then it's literally from one episode to the next. So the whole point of being the king, the queen of your empire is that you've got to strategically place your products. And you'll see me doing that now. So the webinar launch was a strategically placed product that was out there to help people understand that you can do this with minimal risk. Okay, today we're talking about the rise of the influencer, and we're going to go into this course that I'm building for you to help you understand how I'm structuring this and building this and thinking about it so you get a sense of how to structure and build yours. But this is now me placing strategically bets or armies out there to go and fight certain battles to help people understand that they can do this too, to start to bring them to my mission, which is to empower creatives with the business and marketing strategies that make a difference, make a massive impact in their lives and in mine, right? Those are my overall goals. So this is what I want you to do, right? Take this, let's take a quick look at this. Screenshot this, grab this, insert your skills in here. So what's skill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and chart that. And if you know you can reach people here, and you can change their life, but you don't know exactly what you want to do and you feel like you're more of a knight, then the most important thing that you can do is stay focused on something where you can make some depth of impact, right? Because as you go and you start to scale, you're not deep diving into things anymore. So it's more generalized. You have to, because as you bring more people into your conversation, you have to keep things at a more general level to be able to impact more and more and more people. But then you can go and deep dive into something and really be this expert. You know, that's where you can go in and you make a difference in people's lives, like getting people jobs, getting them the skills, getting them the career things. All of that can be very important there. And then you grow it off to where you're building this bigger empire. Start where you make the deepest impact. If you're starting this out, start where you make the deepest impact and then grow it out from there to where you're then placing, you know, your armies out there in the world to help influence and bring people to you. So do this map. Get really clear on where these different skills that you have are and what they can do. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is you come through and you say, okay, I want to teach, let's say, I want to teach game artists. Okay, and then here's my needs, and then there's the character jobs, the environment jobs, right? And then you come through and you're like, okay, so out of all of that stuff, I'll just continue it down here. There's boot camps. Career boot camps are an opportunity that's coming up, okay? And then we come in here and we're like, I really want to make an impact. And then find what is that product that it is right there in the intersection. What is that thing going to be that you develop, okay? I'm going to want you to make sure that you get in here and you find these pieces that make a difference. So fill out your skills, fill out the market needs, fill out the innovations or the opportunities, I should say. And I see trends as opportunities, and I never know how to spell that. And you're happy. What makes you happy? Find out. So pick that one skill that you want to focus on. Pick the opportunities you're aware of, the needs that you're aware of, and the area that makes you happy. And then write this in simple terms. Okay, what is it that you want to do? Is it a business boot camp, a cooking boot camp? Is it a cooking class? Is it French cuisine? Is it world's greatest dad? What is it that you want to teach right there? Okay, let me pull through. Yeah, okay. So let me now bring this home to me. We're almost at about an hour. And I want to introduce you to the course that I'm building for you. It's called the Influencer Method. And the Influencer Method is designed to take you from being an expert to being somebody who's an influencer in your industry, where you've productized your knowledge and you are attracting people to you, to your thoughts, and to your approach in the world, right? So let's come in here and take a look at this. If we come through, here's the page, and this is live right now. It's ryankingsline.com/p/influencer method. Okay, and when we're looking at this page, I'm looking to say, you know, what is it that I really want to do in people's lives? What is it I want to impact people? I want to really make a difference. So I have to find, you know, headlines and all this stuff that really connect to people and really become triggers to help people figure things out. So far you have looked at how to create a course around a skill, and you were creating a title. Literally right now I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction to some of the stuff that we're going to cover in the next couple of days, because I'm going to keep coming on here live with you and talking this stuff through. I'm going to keep coming on and giving you this content. And so this next piece of content that you're going to look at is, now that you know the course that you want to do, how do you build that into a course? What are the actual elements, like a real course, okay? A headline, right? What do you need? You need a headline. What else do you need? You need some sort of video. What else do you need? You need something that explains what you're teaching and what you're doing, right? So we're going to talk about all these different elements to make sure that everything's going, you know, that you're getting everything out into a way that people understand and that they can sit down and have that one moment. Yes, no. This is for me. This is not for me. Okay, that's the primary thing that we want to get people to. So if they're coming down here, and let's take a quick look at the screen, you know, there's all this language here. It's time to package, position, and launch you, okay, which it is, you know, and identify your mission. Stop trading time for dollars and put a dent in the universe. It's time to make that happen, okay? And I've got all this language and this structure where I walk you through what I call the expert mindset and how important it is for you to start thinking like an influencer. And how being an influencer is not a social media influencer. It's not a popularity contest. It's about impact. You know, the primary thing that I want to do is give you impact and give you the tools to impact people and make a difference in their lives, because that's how you build a business. That's how you build wealth in your life. Wealth is really just knowledge that you've pulled together and shared and brought out there into the world. That's wealth, right? People pay you for your knowledge. You have the choice on whether or not they're paying for your knowledge by how many hours you are working for it, or if they're paying you for your knowledge while you sleep. That's the simple decision that you have in front of you. You can continue to work 9 to 5. People will pay you for the knowledge. You'll have a boss that pays you for that. And that's great, but they will always have a ceiling over you. You can only make this much. You can only get your raise can only be so much until you stop trading time for dollars and you start to productize your knowledge and you go directly to the marketplace to make a difference there. That's my goal, is to share with you how you can achieve that, right? And we're going to do that here in this course with what I call the influencer method. We're going to teach you how to package, position, and launch yourself by teaching you the ways to get influence over yourself, the way to discover your mission, develop your mission plan, break through your limiting beliefs. We got to cover that right away, right? Because you can launch a business, you can launch an online class, you can launch a brand, but a year from now, is it going to be important to you, or are you going to burn it down? I've burned businesses down because they didn't connect, and it is never a fun or pretty thing. If you can get aligned on what your core mission is, you can discover the kingdom that you can rule over for the rest of your life. The key is understanding what our mission is, because that becomes your kingdom. That becomes the area, the territory that you're willing to fight for and that you want to make a difference in. So we don't pass go until we discover what your mission is. And that's what the influencer method is designed to do, okay? Then once we do that, we talk about how you influence your customers. We talk about what I call the give, the ask, the launch, you know, and how you build raving fans. How do you influence your brand so that, you know, you build a brand that's not a social media thing, right? Like today, Facebook likes are irrelevant in the conversation. And you never know from likes what somebody's revenue is or what their impact is. Because likes are no longer viral, they're no longer real. They're paid for, or they got them so long ago when things were viral that, you know, it's no longer even relevant today. In fact, Facebook doesn't even track likes in terms of when people are, like, let's say you can target different brands on there and it has nothing to do with how many likes that brand has. Facebook has its own internal mechanism to see how many people are actually talking about something, about you, and it uses that to determine who's important, what's important for its algorithm. It has nothing to do with likes. Likes is just another way that they beat the stock market. You know, people pay for that and they get a result, you know? And I'll share with you my strategy and how I got the likes I got. And it's a very simple strategy. Inside this course, I'll share with you that and help you get a sense of how easy it is, but then also how unimportant that is in the long haul. The most important thing is that you are giving stuff to your customer and that you've built a brand that really supports you in your life so you can continue to devote your life to its mission, right?
And really, at the end of the day, a brand is about your offer. That's really the key component. So we'll talk a lot about that. Then how do you bring a team on? So at what point are you using virtual assistants? What point do you bring an assistant in? And I'm going to share with you guys one of the number one things I did, which was hire an integrator. And there's a very specific type of person called an integrator out there that really, will totally change your business, in my view. All right, in Module 4, we talk about influence your business, how you really build this so that you can scale it, and then what's the number one thing you should not do. Like, there's all of these things in Influence Your Life, how to make sure that over the next 90 days, you really push this forward, okay? Now, this course is live now, and we are open for registration as we speak, okay? We're open for registration as we speak. And as I go through and I deliver the rest of this rise of the influencer with you. But you're going to have to enroll by the end of this week, because that's where this is, okay? This is our yes-no moment. This is the moment you're going to have with your customers as well. You're going to give to them, and then you're going to say, I want to work with you. Do you want to work with me? Yes or no. And it's not personal. It doesn't mean anything. It's just do yourself a favor and do everybody else a favor, and don't be gray. Because everybody lives their life in maybe. And that's why things take so long to get done. Yes, no. If you can break this down into yes, no, you collapse time and you can achieve so much more in the process. And you get to work with people who want to work with you, right? And so that's what we're doing here. We're going into a yes, no situation. And so you've got a few days left to decide where you're going to be here. Do you want to enroll in just the course, right? If you're just in the course itself, you're going to get all of this stuff, right? And you're going to get that for $197 and 4 monthly payments. If you're in the influencer bundle, you're actually going to get this massive amount of content. It's almost $2,000 worth of content. Well, it's even more than that, actually, because you're going to get these 4 live monthly sessions. And it's monthly. Then you're going to get my Business to the Power of You course, which is a 12-module course. You're going to get the 7-module webinar launch formula. That's going to go away for you guys as soon as this course is done at the end of this week. That access is going to go away. Rise of the Influencer, you're going to get to keep. Again, it's going to go away at the end of this month or end of this week. And then there's the 3-module Facebook Ads the Easy Way course that I'm going to develop specifically for you. And then if you want to join my inner circle, you're going to get all of that. Plus, we have 8 weekly meetings, and you're going to get a personally tailored strategy to launch your brand and your course. So you have to decide which one you want to go for. That's it. And there'll be a button underneath this webinar that'll give you a direct link to it. As soon as we're done with this, the button will be there. And leave me a comment and let me know, what is the number one thing that you learned watching this? I want to know, what's the number one thing that you learned watching this video, the thing that you think is going to let you change your life and build this business finally. Turn all your expertise into your online empire, right? I want to teach you my influencer method, right? The techniques that I have used that took me from just some guy to now somebody who's, got followers and raving fans and has people who will contact me and say, 5 years ago I took this course and now I'm over here in this part of the industry and I'm doing this and thank you so much. You can make a bigger difference in this world than you think. The question is, are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone to achieve that? And if you are, I want to help you. I want to be there, and I want to show you step by step the strategies, the tools, the processes that I used to achieve that. And the best thing for you to do would be to go in and take the influencer bundle, and you'll get all of those classes, right? The webinar launch formula is how we generated over $6 million in revenue. The webinar launch, like that, that's a huge number. But I didn't do anything magical. All I did was produce value and then more value. And that's it. There's a strategy, there's a way, there's a process for unlocking all of that, right? So there's techniques that we use to say when we give and then we get, when do we have the ask for somebody, and then how do we ask, and how do we segue to the yes-no moment so that people will decide yes or no. But it's a very simple tool that I'll give you as part of the Influencer Bundle to get into this course, all right? So let me know the number one thing, and make sure you sign up for the Influencer Bundle, the Inner Circle, or get the course only, whatever really fits your needs. Make sure you grab those today. There'll be a link underneath this to help you get there to that page. Have an amazing week, and I'll be here again tomorrow. Tune in, 12 p.m. with the next step of how do you take your course idea and actually start to turn this into this kind of productized knowledge. Super excited that you're here. I'm crazy excited to be sharing this knowledge with you. It's been bottled up inside me, and I've worked with only like a select group of people for a long time, and now I'm just looking to share this out with the world because I've discovered my kingdom. My kingdom is sharing the business, the marketing strategies with creatives so that they can change their financial futures, right? That's the kingdom I'm willing to fight for, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. All right, have an amazing week, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, ciao.